Good morning. Good morning, my friends. What I would like to do is ask you to please have a seat and welcome our music ministers, Rachel Derry and Francisco Ruiz, to come in with our opening music song.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Would you reach out to me with all of our voices and all of our visions? Friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Ooh, ooh, sing out. Ooh, 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 ooh. If you know it, sing with me. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Would you reach out to me with all of our voices, with all of our and all of our visions and all of our friends? We can make such friends. We can make sweet harmony, sweet harmony, sweet harmony, sweet harmony. One more time. Sweet harmony. Last one. Sweet harmony.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. We welcome you here in the sanctuary and those who have opted to join us online. Please make sure that your electronic devices are muted unless, like me, you have hearing aids and the software on your phone to plug you into our wonderful hearing loop system. If you have hearing aids, or someone thinks you should have hearing aids, I strongly urge you to acquire this low-cost software because it plugs you into our marvelous hearing loop system that allows you to hear as well as anybody in the room. My name is Martin Dooley. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm this morning's service leader. I want to thank today's service team, which includes Reverend Jamie, our music ministers Rachel and Francisco Ruiz, Tim Firstig, our religious educator, our tech team, Brian Carey, Chase Tapley, Eamon Bullock and Josh McIntyre, our worship associate Ann Craig Howarth, our ushers, Marion Sneed and Catherine Schuler, our greeters, who are Gabby Walker and Rita Mubarak, and Nancy Wilson, who is at the welcome desk. I have a series of announcements. Next Sunday, November 19th, is our National Housing Day service. This year's guest speaker is Medora Upal, the CEO of the YWCA of Hamilton, one of the major players in the city's affordable housing system. Please plan on staying after the service when Medora will be available for a question and answer session, and we will have model letters to all 3 levels of government that you can sign or revise in your own words. The affordable housing team will look after sending them. And last but not least, there will be snacks. Today, the Climate Action Team is hosting its first Climate Cafe after the service, beginning at 12 here in the sanctuary. Light refreshments will be provided by First Unitarians Happy Herbivores. We will be showing the film Eating Our Way to Extinction, narrated by Kate Winslet. This entertaining and surprising documentary will challenge the way you look at the food industry. What is the true cost of food? Who pays the price? This features undercover footage and poignant firsthand accounts from Indigenous people. And this one-of-a-kind documentary will permanently change your perception of food and its connection to the future of our planet. From Joanne Tunnicliffe, now is the time to bring your bags of leaves to the gazebo so that we can put our Carolinian gardens to bed. Thanks for protecting our beautiful garden. From Irene Laurie, to finish up Margaret Methadian's memoir that she has been writing in the past year, Jamie and I thought it would be great to have some input from people in the church who know Margaret through teams, committees, or just in person. If you would send a sentence or two about your experiences with Margaret, we'll edit them into a final chapter so that the memoir can go to the printer. Please send it to Irene Laurie. Her email can be found in the church directory or in the all church email announcements. Thank you. And finally, join Blooms for Africa Sunday, November 19th at 2 p.m. in the sanctuary for an afternoon of storytelling and music provided by Burlington Storytellers Guild. This is a fundraiser for the Stephen Lewis Foundation. There'll be tea and cookies, jewelry sales, and Pat Dickinson's memoir available for purchase. Tickets are $15 and available from all Blooms members. Now I'd like to invite the light of my life, Sheila, to come up and light our chalice. Our chalice is a reminder of the light and hope of our faith. We light it each time we gather to remind us of the sacredness of our time together. Please join me in our chalice lighting words. May this flame be our light of friendship and love. Thank you. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning today, you are one of us, and you are welcome in this house of worship. Our mission is to nurture one another, serve the community, and inspire action to heal the world. Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. Today, Hamilton is home to many indigenous peoples from across North America, and the land here is covered by covenants and treaties. We are, all of us, treaty people, original inhabitants and those who came later, inheritors of a diverse history, dwellers in a common land, and travelers towards a better day. We respect our treaty relationships and responsibilities to both the land and the original people who reside here.
Good morning. It is, good morning. It's so good to be with you on this glorious day. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. My name is Reverend Jamie Boyce. My pronouns are she, her, and I have the great honor and privilege of serving this congregation as its interim minister. In that role, I journey with you as you plan and prepare to call your next settled minister. We gather this morning in celebration of the rich history of our Unitarian Universalist faith, a faith that welcomes and reveres pluralism as a foundational value of our faith, foundational to our covenant, in which we agree to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Let us reflect on notions of the soul and revel in the gifts of our free faith. Today, we are so fortunate to be joined by Francisco Ruiz as our musical guest. Yesterday, Francisco led a workshop on circle singing and extended an invitation to the community to sing familiar songs in new ways. Francisco, thank you for making the long journey to be here, especially as we chatted. It's a lot colder here than Los Angeles. Sometimes it snows this time of year. Music is a spiritual practice that opens the soul to life, to love, to community, to justice, and the great mystery that holds us all. Let us welcome each other into this holy place on this glorious, glorious day full of sunshine. Please rise in body and spirit for our first song, 159. This is my song. The words will appear behind us.
A song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer
is Tim Versteeg, and it is my great pleasure to be the religious educator of the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. Forgot who I was there for a minute. My pronouns are he, him. This morning's adventure has been the Children's Chalice. If anybody knows where our real Children's Chalice is, or our original one is, please let me know. It's MIA right now, however. We did do a search, couldn't find it. So, in lieu of that, this is one we made in the children's program a couple of years ago. So we have a backup. Our story today is The Knowing by Annie DeFranco, illustrated by Julia Matthews. Some of you may know that name, Annie DeFranco. She has been an activist and folk singer for the last 30 plus years, probably, a long time anyway. And this is her first attempt and successful attempt at a children's book. And she is inviting us to ponder the distinction between our outer forms of identity and the inner light of consciousness. It can also be found as a song if you look it up. I'm not going to sing it. And it's ideas that DeFranco feels strongly about, and I think speak to our Unitarian Universalist values, and happen to be ordered from our UUA bookshop, so apparently they think so too. I have a name, and my name has a story. I have a look, a sound, a smell, a shape, a size. I have a color to my hair, my skin, my eyes. But this is not all of who I am. Underneath this is something more. All of these things are just what's showing underneath. All that I know is the knowing. I have a favorite blanket. It's a little torn. I have a family and a place where I was born. I have a favorite song and a favorite food. I have a favorite game depending on my mood. But this is not all of who I am. Underneath this is something more. All of these things are just what's showing. Underneath all that I know is the knowing. I have a life that I am here to live. I have gifts that I'm here to give. I have friends, and with my friends I have fun. I have a love of the wind and of the sun. Yes, I can take heart in what's showing, knowing it's all a part of the knowing. Yes, I can take a part in what is showing, knowing that we're all a part of the knowing. I have beliefs, and someday those beliefs might change. I have blocks that I like to arrange and rearrange. There are things that I'm told and things that I learn. There are skills I've practices and praise I've earned. But this is not all of who I am. Underneath this, there is something more. All of these things are just what's showing. Underneath all that I know is the knowing. That's the end of our story this morning. In our children's program this morning, we are going to be continuing our theme of plurality that we're following in the worship services, and we're going to be talking about the golden rule across various traditions. So if the children would like to join me, we will head out to Fellowship Hall.
Let us drop into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer together. On this weekend of Remembrance Day, we hold dear and close the memories of those who have served and those lives lost at war. May the silence we hold together today be a place of reverence and memory. For our meditation today, I offer these words from Irish poet and mystic John O'Donohue. Awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. Have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. Receive encouragement when new frontiers beckon. Respond to the call of your gift and the courage to follow its path. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek your attention. Let us rest in silence together, noticing the breath that holds us and keeps us. May there be peace in our hearts and peace in the world. As you feel called, I invite you to light candles of community as we enjoy the music from our music ministry team this morning.
Will you take a deep breath with me and exhale on one note? Nada te turbe, nada te espante. Quien a Dios tiene, nada le falta. Nada te turbe, nada te espante. Solo Dios basta. Nada te turbe, nada te espante.
Dios tiene, nada le falta, nada te turbe, nada te espante. Solo Dios basta. Hoodoo, 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 hoodoo. Nada te turbe, nada te espante. Quien a Dios tiene, nada le falta, nada te turbe, nada te espanta. Solo Dios basta. Hoodoo, 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 hoodoo.
Now is the time in our service where we share the joys and sorrows of beloved community. If you have a joy or sorrow to share on a Sunday morning, you can stop by the little table to my right, lit with a red candle, beckoning you forward, and leave your joy or sorrow there, or send me an email. You can click on the button on the front page of our website. We have a number of joys to celebrate this morning. The first one comes from our congregational president, Sue Stewart Green. Sue wants to let you know that she is doing well. She was recently diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent a partial mastectomy this past Tuesday. She is recovering in Ellicottville, and in a few weeks will start 1 month of radiation. The cancer was small and detected early, so Sue and John and her sons and family are hopeful that the prognosis is good. Sue is grateful for the loving support she receives from this community. She is not stepping back from her role as president, but is accepting the offerings of help and support from the other board members through this time of recovery and healing. Sue, if you are watching today, we hold you in the comfort and care of our collective love. 2 joys from Beverly Horton. Beverly shares that she has been selected to serve on the virtual hymnal task force with the Unitarian Universalist Association. This task force will be curating the next UU hymnal, so desperately needed, since the publication of Singing the Journey, aka the Teal hymnal, published in 2005. Beverly, we are so proud of you, and we celebrate you this morning. Congratulations. the second. Thank you to the amazing Francisco Ruiz for bringing singing into our lives in a special way, building community in such a beautiful way. And many thanks to all the volunteers who coordinated and helped make yesterday's workshop possible. Joanne Deere was really, really essential. We're grateful. Helped with the meal and the concert and created a really beautiful experience. And all those who attended are invited to stay after service today for just a few minutes to take a picture with Francisco. Surprise. Surprise. I have a joy and a sorrow from Ginny. Cartier has a minor injury. Cartier, who is our community service dog, we've all gotten to know Cartier and is with you for a few weeks as Cartier heals and recovers. Unfortunately, his jacket wasn't ready this morning, so he couldn't be here with us in person. But Jenny, tell Cartier we look forward to his dog wiggles next Sunday. So thank you for that. And then finally, you'll notice this beautiful wreath of poppies for Remembrance Day. And Anne Craig Harwith shared the story of our special wreath today. This poppy wreath was made many years ago by the children in her daughter's kindergarten class. We bring it out each year to honor our veterans and also the little hands that made it. And Anne, thank you for sharing this with our community this morning as well. We are so grateful. Let's take a breath. We know that there are joys and sorrows among us too tender yet to share. And we hold those in the presence of friendship and community and remind each other that we are never alone. Amen.
In our free faith tradition, we are the support and resources of this congregation. Our gifts and donations sustain the many ministries of this church, a community we have chosen to join and support. We will now receive our offering while we listen to our music ministers.
You gotta keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. You gotta keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. You gotta keep your heart. You gotta keep your heart wide open. Wide open. Though the waves wanna push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open, till your faith brings you back to solid ground, Would you sing it with us? You gotta keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around, push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open, till your faith brings you back to solid ground, till your faith brings you back to solid ground. Oh, till your faith brings you back to solid ground.
That's a hard act to follow. Oh.
Your gifts in support of our ministries to one another and to the community are appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. So a long time ago, my mother sat me down and showed me how to sew a button on a shirt. It was important to her that my brother and I learned some basic survival skills for life. And apparently, sewing a button is one such skill. And it is, amen. Later on, she gave me, and I think I was in my 30s when I got this gift, but she gave me a sewing basket. Inside was a random selection of sewing notions, bits, bobs, and buttons for just about any domestic emergency. Notions, the small items that are sewn into fabric as decoration, fasteners or embellishments, like sequins, buttons, hooks, and it includes the small tools we use and the delicate work of sewing. Sometimes sewing is deeply practical and necessary, the sweater, the sock, or the seam. And sometimes it's deeply creative and imaginative work which connects me to the notions we have about the soul. And I wonder what fastens us together. Sometimes with great embellishment, noticing the gentle threading of history inside the dreams that call us together. Dreams of belonging, connection, reckoning, and renewal. Notions of a faith that appreciates the past, but radically welcomes the present moment as the portal to the future. It is a tradition at this congregation for the minister to offer a sermon as part of the annual fundraising event. Many congregations do this, and it's an opportunity to challenge the minister and challenge the congregation with the topic that might press upon sensitive nodes and nodules of congregational identity. This year, the topic for the 2023 auction service, provided by Martin Dooley, our congregational treasurer and OWL educator, is Unitarian Universalist Notions of the Soul. When Martin and I discussed this service last spring, he shared that it was his great wish that I would really research this topic, that I really draw upon Unitarian Universalist history and track an imagination of the soul as it emerges and reveals itself in Unitarian Universalist culture and theological practice over time. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Of course, I am a faithful practitioner of our faith and pretty good at following instructions. So I sat with Martin's request, and almost immediately I thought, which history? A question that is sure to disappoint as it instantly discloses that this talk might not be what it seems. So I offer a pre-apology as I venture cautiously and with some abandon into this conversation, as I name that the distillation of history is dangerous, especially as it seeks to essentialize, reducing people, places, history, and the artifacts of our faith to bite-sized pieces of easily digestible nuggets. Last night at the Circle Songs concert, Francisco talked about rescuing moments of his spiritual past, an acknowledgement of his own personal spiritual transformation, and awareness that there are things worth saving from those parts of the journey. I'm appreciative of that insight, as it resonates so broadly. What do we rescue and preserve from the past? So, what are we talking about when we talk about a soul? A quick turn to Merriam-Webster offers a surprisingly good place to start. The first three definitions are helpful. 1, the immaterial essence, animating principle, or actuating cause of individual life. 2, the spiritual principle embodied in human beings, all rational and spiritual beings, or the universe. It's pretty big. Or 3, a person's total self. That's interesting to me. The contours of this definition echo with notions of the soul evident in the Tanakh, with the word nefesh, an essential animation of life, not to be confused with ruach, the breath, the spirit, the animating wind. A parallel in the Christian New Testament is the association of pneuma, spirit, and the animation of psyche, the soul, in Greek. Keep in mind that these are not binary terms. Rather, they work in fluid constellations of meaning, threaded and knotted together, embellished and stitched into Scripture, and a long interpretive tradition that is very much alive today. In Christianity, the believing soul became the soul that was saved, destined to a heavenly paradise upon death. For many of us, this might be a narrative we are most familiar with, the one we inherit and struggle with. There is lots to stitch about. Universalist Jose Ballou, born in 1771, who called not just for universal salvation, but immediate salvation, which abandoned the need for a time in which one's soul would be cleansed before being welcomed into the afterlife. It's an interesting and important distinction. It's immediate. For Baloo, every human soul is good and worthy of God's salvific love. It is the ways of the world that lead people astray from this goodness. In the absence of original sin, the soul's goal is to continue to expand one's goodness in the world as an embodiment of God's love. It's beautiful to think about it. And you can hear when we say the inherent worth and dignity of every person, this is a source. In 1841, Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay, The Oversoul, was published as a treatise on the human condition and a reflection on the nature of God. For Emerson, God is present in each individual and connects to a universal soul that unites humanity, the unity of God. Emerson writes, and bear with me, Emerson had a different style, but it's worth hearing because it's beautiful. Emerson writes, the supreme critic on the errors of the past and present and the only prophet of that which must be is that great nature in which we rest as the earth lies in the soft arms of the atmosphere, that unity, that over soul within which every man's particular being is contained and made one with all other, that common heart in which all sincere conversation is the worship, to which all right action is submission, that overpowering reality which confutes our tricks and talents and constrains everyone to pass for what he is and speak from his character and not from his tongue, and which evermore tends to pass into our thought and hand and become the wisdom and virtue and power and beauty. Life is beautiful. People are beautiful. The divine spark is alive and awakened in every beautiful human being. For Emerson, the spark of the divine soul is embodied in human form. There is a direct experience of the divine. That direct experience can guide, inform, and initiate a moral and ethical posture. I notice this woven through our tradition as we honor the individual search for truth and meaning and show up courageously to the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The soul, the inner goodness, that which animates and excites our lives, is a remnant of our tradition that is worth appreciating and saving. But it begs a question. But what about inner goodness in the absence of God? That's a good question. Humanists, understanding of human experience, celebrate the capacity of reason, science, and ethical values to benefit humanity. Humanism is not preoccupied by theological questions about the life of the soul and any human relationship to divinity. Rather, and this is from the American Humanist Association, we take very seriously the idea that no deity will save us. We must save ourselves. We are living the only life we'll have in the only world we know about. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we welcome and celebrate humanist philosophy and the appeal to goodness that animates the human experience and the possibility of ethics, creativity, and human community to gather in shared purpose. We might thread together the goodness of Jose Ballou, identified in both the human and the divine of our humanist siblings. Unitarian Universalism has space for a multiplicity of commitments, expressions, and explorations of human experience. Before I release this talk to the universe, it's out there. It feels pressing and important to locate suffering in this conversation, to notice suffering souls, hurting souls, traumatized souls, souls longing for freedom and liberation. In the book Injustice and Care of the Souls Taking Oppression Seriously in Pastoral Care, the authors Cheryl Kujawa and Holbrook and Karen Montagno draw from the tapestries of liberation theology and call upon faith communities to confront systemic injustice as woven through the experience of the parish and to learn practices of liberatory care. It's important to thread this through to the future. You'll notice the history I've referenced today names two long past, two dead white men from the archive of Unitarian Universalist history. That is not our full story at all. And I'm looking forward to expanding this conversation in December when we welcome the theme of love and delve deeper into liberation theology together. It's not our full story. A conversation about the soul names that spark that animates life, the fire in our hearts, perhaps. And it is also the theological conversation about human goodness, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and in the embodied possibilities to encounter what we know, the great mystery, known by many names, that which some of us call God. It's about being in relationship, of noticing that if we are in this together, then we must work and plan our future together. Let us dwell in curiosity about the soul, that spark that animates our lives, and be captivated by the possibilities. May it be so, and blessed be. Please rise in body and spirit as you feel called for, perfect, when the Spirit says do. 1024 in the Teal hymnal, the words will appear.
Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. I see some moving. Spirit says do. It helps to move. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says you gotta do when the Spirit says do. It says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says you gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirits, when the Spirit says do, you gotta do. Oh Lord, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. Says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirits, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do, 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 Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You got it. Spirit says do, Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing. You gotta sing. There we go. Dance, come on. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. Come on now. Spirit says dance. 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 You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh, oh Lord. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Or shout. Come on. Spirit says laugh. 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 You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you gotta shout, oh Lord. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. Everybody say it. Spirit says shout. 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 You gotta do when the Spirit says do. Oh, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do, oh, Spirit says do, oh, Spirit says do, oh, Spirit do, Spirit says do, Spirit says do, Spirit says do.
Animated and inspired by our Unitarian Universalist faith. May notions of the soul spark your imagination, open your heart, and connect you in communities of friendship and care. Together, may we love boldly and bravely, committed to a world of peace in the presence of justice. We extinguish our chalice, but not the fire in our hearts until we meet again. We were were so powerful, we extinguished the chandeliers. The spirit. I'll follow.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. Will you sing with me? There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul, in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. Oh yes it is. There's a river flowing in my, oh, in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. Oh, in my mind. There's a river. Oh, there's a river. Oh, flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. Oh, there's a river flowing in my mind. So there's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in your soul. Blessed be.
Beautiful.